Hey guys, welcome back to Untamed and Unapologetic, redefining your identity. I'm your host, Jeanette Lira, and today we are talking about attachment styles. I love to talk about attachment styles because they can really help an individual understand why they do, what they think, and what they're feeling. I lead with this in the majority of, probably all of my therapy sessions as well. I make sure that the person I'm speaking to understands why they are struggling. And a lot of times that can be explained through your attachment style. So today we are going to go over the different attachment styles. You're going to learn what they are. You're going to find out how they can affect you in your love life and in friendships, in your career and in leadership, and also with your own personal development and what that looks like. So after that, towards the end, I will give you a website that I went on to today. I don't know anything about them, but all I know is that when you take their quiz, they will tell you exactly what your attachment style is with basic details. And if you want more information, you can purchase that. But this is one of the only ones that actually will just give you your attachment style. So I did it just before we recorded this podcast to make sure. So I'll give you that web address so that you can figure out what your attachment style is. And then we will also have your little homework and your little challenge for yourself to help you understand your own attachment style. So let's start off with what are the attachment styles, right? So attachment is formed at birth or before birth, in utero actually, believe it or not. So we develop these attachments to our caregivers at the time of conception and throughout pregnancy and into the first, I believe 3 years of life is when we really are able to identify with one attachment style based on our upbringing, our caregivers, our environment, and everything around us. The one thing that people don't tell us is that you, as the individual, can change your attachment style. So just because you were born with an insecure attachment style of some sort does not mean that you are going to live that life forever. And I always want to make that very clear because it can really hurt a person or their caregiver to know that the caregiver gave them that attachment style, but also understanding that that caregiver didn't do it on purpose. So that's the beauty of the brain and of being a human. We can always rewrite our stories. And so this is step one to learning how to do that. So personally, I know way in the past, maybe even 12, 13 years ago, when I took this attachment style quiz, I believe I scored an avoidant attachment, or I think it was like an anxious avoidant attachment, to tell you the truth. I was very anxious about things, always worrying, always seeking approval and validation from other people. And if I didn't get it, and there was also that fear of conflict, the avoidant part. So if I felt like I was going to get in trouble or they weren't going to like me or love me anymore, I wouldn't talk about the issue and I would pretend it didn't even exist. So a lot of people have this anxious avoidant attachment, and it's what causes us to fail in life. And we're going to talk more about that soon. But the beauty, again, is that I was able to change my own attachment style. And my current attachment style that I just found out right now, and I also took this test again, maybe 6 months to a year ago, I am now in a secure attachment style. That took many years to get there, and I'm very proud of all the work that it took and that I did. But just know it's always possible to change from an insecure to a secure attachment by redefining your story and rewiring your brain and teaching your body and your brain and your heart different things that it never knew it existed before. So this is my challenge to you, that no matter what you get as your attachment style or your attachment style to be, just know that that can change if you want it to. And let's work through a plan together to make sure that you end up in the attachment style of your choice and the life that you desire. So, a little overview of the different attachment styles. There essentially is secure and then insecure, right? You're either secure and you got it together, you can communicate, you're in control of your emotions, you're not afraid of conflict, you understand that people can help you and you don't have to do it by yourself. So being secure is one. The insecure can be broken down into a few different attachment styles. And for my brain and my sanity, I have a cheat sheet. There's the anxious preoccupied, the dismissive avoidant, and the fearful avoidant. So you can figure out what these different attachment styles look like, but just know that secure is I got it together. I'm not afraid to talk. I'm not afraid to put myself out there. Whenever there's failure, I see the positives in it and not the negatives. I can see an outcome for anything that's coming my way, and I'm not going to let it stop me. That is secure. You're insecure, you're going to be anxious. You're going to be avoidant. You're going to be dismissive. You're going to be scared and worried a lot. So keep that in mind as we talk more about how they can affect you in your different areas of life. So maybe take a little guess for yourself and write down what you think your attachment style is. Because even though I've switched to a secure attachment, that inner wounded child of me still every once in a while wants to go back to the avoidance and to the anxiety and to the worry. So I really have to communicate to myself and remind myself that I'm not going back there. So we'll talk a little bit more on another podcast on how to keep you in the direction that you want to go. But in romantic relationships or in friendships, if you have an insecure attachment style, you might be anxious if they are going to like you. You might not want to approach conflict. You might keep things to yourself and not want to express yourself or your emotions. You might also want to overshare your emotions. You don't have a balance really. It's just black or white. With these relationships, they will typically become very toxic or not last very long unless one or both of y'all are working on communication and yourselves. So keeping that in mind, if you have a secure attachment in a relationship, if you're struggling, you're going to reach out to somebody for help. Someone with an insecure attachment in dating might write long paragraphs in a text message because they need to be understood or they need to be heard or they need to be validated. A person in a secure attachment style with those same text messages will be very straight and to the point. I felt hurt. Let's talk about this in person. So in leadership and work life, if you have a leader that has an insecure attachment style, they may like to micromanage you. They may be very authoritarian, wanting things done their way or the highway. If you have a secure attached leader, that leader is going to be inclusive, is going to encourage communication, is going to listen to you and your needs and find a good solution for every problem. So that's a little bit how it can affect leadership and in your work life. Even in your team dynamics, if you look around and you're afraid to talk to your boss or you're afraid or you are avoidant of talking to a specific team member, pay attention to that because that can mean that maybe you're getting a different vibe off of them and you're not knowing what it is. A secure attached person is going to recognize that and find out why it's there. This person makes me feel a little off. Maybe they don't like me. So let me investigate. That's a secure attachment. An insecure attachment would not go up to that person at all and would probably just sit with that. When it comes to our personal growth and letting go and what we believe about ourselves, that also kind of stems from our attachment styles. So I have a lot of clients that come in, even I used to probably say this about myself, but they come in and they're like, oh, but that's just who I am. That's just what I've always done. Or they have this internal pain and I can't let it go. I don't know how to let it go. It's just part of me, right? So those things can really affect your personal growth. So if I stuck with identifying with my pain from the past, I would not be where I am today. I would not see in color anymore. It would be very black and white. When you identify with the traumatic event or the bad thing and you tell yourself that I can't let go of it, it defines who you are. And when you allow that thing to define who you are sitting in an insecure attachment. The moment you're able to drop it and redefine who you are because that thing took place in your life, you are walking towards a secure attachment style. So for a personal example, I used to tell myself that I was broken, that I didn't know how to live after my brother died. I don't know how to live. I don't have to take care of him anymore. I don't have to be his rescuer. Who is Jeanette Lira? And so I defined myself as broken. I held on to that for many years. Nobody's going to want me. I'm broken. I can't tell people this story, or I am going to tell people this story so they know how broken I am. When I did that, I was stuck for very long. I could not see past that part in my life. In order for me to get to the other side of the wall, I had to break it down and remind myself, I'm not broken. That does not have to define me. Yes, my brother died, and no, he's not here anymore. And yes, I have to figure out who I am without him being here. But that doesn't mean I'm broken. When I was able to drop that and work on redefining myself and telling myself that I am worthy and that I am valuable and that I have important things to say, it started opening doors. And I always define it as I finally started to see in color. And what I mean by that is that I could see different possibilities of life that I never saw before. In the past, when they used to tell me, hey, you should start your own business, like your own counseling office, I was like, no, I don't know when I'm going to get paid. I can't afford insurance. I don't even know how to credential with insurance companies. That was just a hard no when I was broken. When I stepped out of that and started redefining myself, it became a possibility, and then it just became a way of life. And I'm very proud of that work that I've done to step into the secure attachment style that I currently have. So we can start to step into our secure attachment styles by just questioning or figuring out, what is the attachment style I was born with? How has it changed throughout the years? Because it does change with life experiences. And that's the beauty of being human. So being able to identify and understand where it started, where it shifted, where it's shifting again, where I want it to be. And it can be a combination in finding your own balance of where you want this to be. So keeping that in mind, one thing I do want to do is I'm going to give you this website to take an attachment style quiz. It's about 5 minutes, very quick. Take it based on what you're feeling and how you act in these moments, the closest that you can remember, whether it's the now that you're in a relationship or whether it was in the past, like a few months ago or whatever. So take it with the mindset of where you currently are, because I would have answered a lot of those questions differently in a different stage of life. So do it honestly in the stage that you're at currently, and you will get step 1 done. Step 1 is identifying it. What is our attachment? But also looking at now and looking at the timeline of our life to see where it shifted, where I've grown, and where I want to be. So write those things down so that you can start exploring your attachment style and start becoming more self-aware. When we become more self-aware, it helps us go down the path that we want to go down. Whether it's becoming secure in your attachment style and in yourself and redefining yourself, or whether it's as small as just accomplishing a goal, like of losing 5 pounds in the next month. So as big as you want it to be or as small as you want it to be, the best way to start is to start to define it and to become self-aware of where you want it to go. So that is the challenge. Take the quiz, write down where you started, where you are, and where you want to be, and start small. Like, maybe start learning about that attachment style. What does it mean? What are the characteristics that are behind it? And you can do a quick Google search. So you can start there and then make a plan. What are you going to do different with yourself? My step was, of course, figuring out what it was and then realizing that I'm not broken anymore and dropping that definition of myself and then owning others. I know for myself, I do have ADHD. It is a little harder for me to remember things. I write things down, and that's okay. And being okay with that and owning that instead of making it something bad, because it's not bad. So whether it's dropping the I'm broken, or whether it's owning my brain and how it works, or my body and what it looks like, start somewhere. Find the theme that you want to start with and write it down. And then work towards where you want to go. So if you recognize that in the relationship with yourself, you call yourself broken and that's what you want to fix, then start that with your romantic relationship. If you recognize that you need them for approval and you don't want that anymore, or for validation, or you're worried if they're going to leave you, or if you're worried that they can find someone else better, then start there with owning that you are worthy and valuable in who you are. And if it doesn't work out with that person, it's not because you did something wrong, or that you weren't worthy, or that you weren't enough. It was more that it just wasn't meant to be. So close the door and open it for the next person that is actually supposed to be in your life, instead of trying to make it work, right? Whether it's in leadership or personal development, you got to figure out what the barrier is. The barrier there, it was, for me, a lot of it was, it had to do with me thinking I wasn't smart enough, or that I couldn't do it. It's just, I had that limiting belief about myself that said I couldn't. So I challenge you to figure out what is the first barrier you are going to confront after you figure out what your attachment style is, and start chipping away at the wall. That is your challenge. Write it down. Be familiar with it, be aware of it, and let's grow together. The website that you can go to for this free attachment quiz is attachmentproject.com. Their website's pretty cool too. It teaches a lot about attachment styles, so I highly recommend it. They aren't paying me for this. I just think it's really cool that they will give you your attachment style without making you pay for anything. But then, of course, if you want to know more about it, you can pay. If you don't want to pay for it, you don't have to. You can just Google what your attachment style is and figure it out on your own. Thank you for today. I love talking about attachment. It'll come up, and it already has in other podcasts. So you'll hear it over and over and over again. And don't feel discouraged if you have an insecure attachment style, because you can rewrite your story, you can redefine that, and you can change generational trauma so that your children and their children do not have to break the cycle of being in an insecure attachment. We have the abilities to do that now. So take that challenge and let's all move forward. Have a great day.